Hey everybody, we're hanging out at the White House Custom Color booth at Imaging USA with Mr. Adam Mueller. Thank you so much for joining us today, Adam.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely, it's always good to see you. So, one thing that you and I talk about a lot, and I know you were talking to Mike and Chris earlier, and you are always very complimentary of the relationship that has been built between our team and the lab and your team and your family. Can you just tell us a little bit more about like your feelings about that? Because it means a lot more coming from you than it does from me.
Well, I think as a studio owner, when we're working with a lab, you guys are just an extension of our team, and for us, it's the relationships that we have with you that we can trust when we call or email or text that everything gets taken care of as we need it. The products come back fabulous. It's a trust that, again, that you guys are going to help us, be successful by giving us amazing product, but that nothing we have to worry about. So when I joined with White House, a lot of it was on, can I always just call up and everything's just taken care of and I don't have to worry about, the execution side of things? Because I just want to create awesome portraits with my clients, and then I want the products to be amazing, but I have to rely on you guys to produce that, right? So we become good friends and friends with most of your team, and I think that's a key part of it.
I mean, for me, just as a human being outside the lab, that's what makes us tick. And it's fun to get to know you and hang out with Anna and the kids, and like it's been a really fun experience for all of us. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate your willingness to share your feelings. I think that's really important to the team to hear that. So thank you for that.
Thanks. That's, again, great event.
Yeah. But before I let you go, I do want to talk about something that I think, and I actually was just talking to somebody else about it yesterday. Tell us about your walk that you do, because for those of you that are listening along today, if you haven't seen the redesign series that we did at Mueller Photography, go back and check that out, because Adam is wonderful at sales. And the design of the appointment and the way that you help your clients to dream. And I think that that's a brilliant thing. But if you haven't seen that, can you give us just a little synopsis of how you run that, Adam?
Well, when my clients come back and they view their portraits, they're going to choose what they want to own. We sit down in a nice private room, and we have a large TV and all the products on display, but they're getting down to their top favorites. And when they do that, and they know what they might choose for their homes, then we take them on a walk through our studio, and we're showing them all the different finishes that they could choose from acrylics, metals, canvases, float frames, image blocks. We're going through size options, and then we're talking about their space. So we're talking about the rooms that they might display that in. And what we're really trying to do is break down their decisions into small chunks. What's their finish that they might love the best? And for one client, it might be acrylic. For the other one, they might be on the fence, and maybe it's either canvas or framed portraits. And then we're talking about sizes, space, and then we're taking those images and showing them how we can display them on their walls in the finishes that they like. But for us, we just want them to visualize with the images they're seeing on the screen, the finishes we have on display, what that end product's going to look like then in their home. But it's nicer to be able to take a little bit of a gallery walk through a space and see everything on display and just lean towards certain things. It helps me know what their preferences are, and I think the only way to do that is to show it in your space.
And I know I've heard this a lot before. Like, if you want somebody to fall in love with something, you have to put it in their hands, and you can't necessarily do that with a wall portrait. But you're doing as close to that as possible by walking them through, letting them take a breather, from the sales room potentially, and fall in love with the products. And I know you've told me before, by the time you go back in, what they're buying, and sizes they like, all that stuff. And I gotta applaud you for that. Like, you've done very, very well at designing your sales session around the client and making it efficient. So kudos to you on that. So if you were gonna give a piece of advice today on this video to photographers that are watching, what would that top piece of advice be?
I'd say you don't have to have a big space to show every product line, right? If I had a very small office but had at least a nice size wall portrait and had the finishes even in small pieces that they could touch and feel, that's all you need. I think people have to see in order to envision what it's going to look like in their home. And you can't just do that on a computer screen. But again, it doesn't have to be a big space. I'm sure you could work with clients of all sizes and still get them a way to show these different things. And then you want options. You don't want to, we used to, a long time ago, we would only have like one main finish. and that's just what we became known for. But I think we missed the boat on every client has different preferences, and that might not fit what they would ideally love, but they don't know yet what to love until they see it. And then they see it and they're like, I've never seen acrylic before, and that looks amazing, and it looks great in this float frame, and that's how they want their finished family portrait to look, and then we can make that happen for them.
Yeah. That's brilliant. So for those of you listening along, make sure and write that down. You know, you don't know that you want it until you want it, until you've seen it, until you know it exists. And sometimes we take for granted because we know the products, but the client might not. So
then imagine those clients' friends coming in their homes and seeing that and be like, I never knew I wanted that, but that looks amazing. And they're going to be referring you. And for us, then we build new relationships with new families, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. It's always a great interview. Hope you enjoy that. Definitely check out on our YouTube page, The Redesign at Mueller Photography, and we will be back with you shortly.